The Jungle War. First contact, the Zelkarian Empire had conquered 47 worlds before they set their sights on Earth. Their military doctrine was simple and effective. Overwhelming orbital bombardment followed by ground forces equipped with energy weapons and powered armor. No primitive species had ever lasted more than 3 rotations against their might. Admiral Vexthul studied the blue-green planet on his command display with the casual interest of a predator selecting prey. The third planet of this unremarkable star system showed signs of a Type 0 civilization, barely capable of chemical propulsion and primitive nuclear technology. Their largest settlements glowed softly in the infrared spectrum, clustered around coastlines and rivers like bacteria around a food source. Planetary scan complete. Admiral reported his tactical officer, a young Zelkarian whose scales still held the bright purple of youth. Population approximately 7 billion. Multiple nation-states, no unified government. Technology level confirms Type 0 classification. Vexthul's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Resistance capability? Minimal. Kinetic projectile weapons, crude aircraft, surface-bound vehicles. Some orbital debris suggests basic space capability, but nothing that could threaten our fleet. The officer paused, consulting his readings. There is one anomaly, sir. Large portions of the planet show dense vegetation coverage. Our sensors detect significant interference in these regions. Jungle worlds, Vexthul mused. The Empire had encountered similar environments before. Dense canopy cover could complicate orbital targeting, but ground forces with proper equipment always prevailed. Standard protocol. Begin with major population centers, then sweep the remaining resistance. The first wave of Zelkarian ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars, their energy weapons carving glowing scars across major cities. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, each fell within hours to the coordinated assault. Earth's military forces responded with everything they had, but bullets and missiles proved woefully inadequate against energy shields and advanced armor. Within 72 hours, most of Earth's governments had fallen. The Zelkarian forces established control over the major continents with mechanical precision. Their commanders prepared for the final phase, hunting down the scattered resistance groups that always emerged after the initial conquest. But something was different about this conquest. The scattered reports coming back from ground patrols were troubling. Captain Zexmar commanded the 3rd Ground Battalion, responsible for clearing the dense jungle regions of South America. His troops were veterans of a dozen campaigns, equipped with the finest weapons the Empire could provide. Each soldier wore powered exoskeletons that enhanced their strength tenfold and energy rifles that could punch through a meter of solid steel. These jungle regions should be simple to clear, Zexmar briefed his lieutenants. Primitive humans cannot match our technology. Sweep patterns will flush out any survivors, and our thermal scanners will locate hidden settlements. The first patrol entered the Amazon rainforest at dawn. 20 soldiers in powered armor, supported by hover drones and orbital reconnaissance. By nightfall, only 3 had returned. Ambush, sir, gasped Lieutenant Nexton, his armor scarred and smoking. They came from nowhere. Weapons we couldn't identify. Tactics we've never seen. Zexmar's scales darkened with anger. 20 soldiers lost to primitive weapons? Explain. They used the jungle itself as a weapon. Nexton continued, his voice trembling. Traps that our scanners couldn't detect. They moved without sound, struck without warning, then vanished. When we tried to pursue, they led us into prepared kill zones. Impossible. Our armor provides complete protection against kinetic weapons. Sir, they targeted joints and weak points with surgical precision. And their weapons. Nexton hesitated. Some weren't projectile-based at all. Bladed weapons that found gaps in our armor. Explosives placed with perfect timing. They fought like they knew our equipment better than we did. Zexmar reviewed the patrol's recorded data, but the feeds were fragmented. Brief glimpses of human figures moving through the undergrowth, faces painted with mud and vegetation. Quick flashes of muzzle fire from concealed positions. Then, static as each soldier's communication system was systematically destroyed. Increase patrol strength, he ordered. 50 soldiers per sweep. Full drone support. The second patrol lasted 6 hours. Meanwhile, In a hidden bunker deep beneath the rainforest floor, Colonel Sarah Martinez studied intelligence reports from similar engagements worldwide. The daughter of a Special Forces veteran and a career Delta Force operator, she had spent the last decade training in some of Earth's most challenging environments. When the aliens arrived, she and her team had been conducting joint training exercises with local forces in the Amazon. Status report, she requested from her assembled team leaders. Team Alpha eliminated 2 Zelkarian patrols in the Mato Grosso region, reported Master Sergeant Jackson, his face streaked with camouflage paint. No casualties on our side. Enemy equipment recovered and analyzed. Team Bravo successfully ambushed a supply column near the Rio Negro, added Staff Sergeant Chun. Their hover vehicles are vulnerable to EMP devices when shielded components are exposed. Outstanding. Martinez spread a tactical map across the briefing table. What we learned about their capabilities? Sergeant Williams, the team's intelligence specialist, consulted his notes. Their armor is impressive, but it's designed for conventional warfare. Joint mobility is limited. Thermal regulation systems can be overwhelmed in high humidity. Most importantly, their tactical doctrine assumes technological superiority. They don't adapt well to asymmetric warfare. And their weakness? Overconfidence, Williams replied. They're used to quick victories against inferior opponents. They don't expect sustained resistance, especially from primitive humans. Martinez nodded grimly. Around the world, similar conversations were taking place in hidden bases, mountain caves, and underground bunkers. The Zelkarian Empire had conquered 47 worlds, but they had never faced anything like Earth's special forces. The 3rd Zelkarian Patrol consisted of 100 soldiers supported by aerial drones and orbital reconnaissance. They entered the jungle with confidence, expecting to crush whatever primitive resistance they encountered. They found nothing but empty forest. For 3 days, the patrol moved through the dense undergrowth, their sensors detecting only the normal sounds and heat signatures of jungle life. Their commander began to relax, assuming the earlier encounters had been flukes. On the 4th day, they discovered the bodies. Strung between trees in a small clearing were the remains of the previous patrols. 20 soldiers from the first group, 50 from a second. But these weren't random casualties of war. Each body had been positioned deliberately, armor removed, and stacked in precise geometric patterns. A message, written in Zelkarian script using their own weapon's energy discharge, was burned into the clearing floor. Welcome to the jungle. As the patrol stood frozen in shock, the forest erupted in controlled chaos. Explosions detonated in carefully calculated sequence, driving the surviving aliens into predetermined kill zones. Sniper fire eliminated officers first, then communication specialists. Small teams of humans emerged from concealment to engage stragglers with close-quarter weapons designed specifically to exploit weaknesses in Zelkarian armor. Within minutes, the 100-soldier patrol had been reduced to a handful of survivors. Those who attempted to flee found their escape routes blocked by additional ambush teams. Those who tried to call for orbital support discovered their communication equipment had been jammed or destroyed. As the sun set over the Amazon, Colonel Martinez emerged from the undergrowth to survey the battlefield. Her team had suffered no casualties while eliminating an entire Zelkarian company. More importantly, they had captured several prisoners and a significant amount of enemy equipment. Send a message to all resistance cells, she ordered. Phase 1 is complete. Time to show these aliens what happens when you threaten humanity's home. High above in orbit, Admiral Vexthal received the patrol reports with growing unease. 3 entire units lost in a single jungle region. No clear enemy positions identified. No tactical advantage gained. For the first time in his military career, he faced an enemy that refused to fight on his terms. Hashtag the Jungle War. Adaptation. Admiral Vexthal paced the bridge of his command ship, his scaled hands clasped behind his back. 3 weeks had passed since the initial conquest, and what should have been a simple mopping-up operation had become a persistent nightmare. Every day brought new reports of lost patrols, destroyed equipment, and failed missions. Admiral, his intelligence officer approached cautiously. We have received communications from the other theater commanders. Show me. The holographic display activated, revealing the faces of his fellow commanders from around the globe. General Kex Thor commanded African operations, Admiral Lex Vanna controlled Asian theaters, and Colonel Dexmy oversaw European resistance suppression. The situation is the same everywhere. General Kex Thor began, his usually confident demeanor noticeably strained. Dense forest regions have become impossible to pacify. My forces have lost 30% strength in the Congo basin alone. Admiral Lex Vanna's mandibles clicked nervously. The mountain forests of Asia present similar challenges. Vietnamese and Himalayan regions are completely controlled by human resistance. They appear to have extensive tunnel networks that predate our arrival. How is this possible? Colonel Dexme demanded. These humans have no advanced technology. Their weapons are primitive chemical propellants. Their armor is fabric and metal. Yet they continue to inflict casualties while suffering minimal losses themselves. Vexthul observed grimly. What have our intelligence analysts determined? The intelligence officer activated additional displays showing tactical analyses and recorded combat footage. The humans are employing what their military literature calls asymmetric warfare. They avoid direct confrontation, instead using superior knowledge of terrain and unconventional tactics to negate our technological advantages. On screen, fragmentary footage showed human soldiers moving through dense vegetation with impossible stealth. They seemed to vanish into the landscape itself, appearing only long enough to strike before melting back into the forest. Their weapons were often crude, but employed with devastating effectiveness. Explosives placed with surgical precision, projectile weapons fired from concealed positions, and close combat techniques that exploited every weakness in Zelkarian armor design. They study us, the intelligence officer continued. Captured equipment is rapidly reverse-engineered. Our tactical patterns are analyzed and countered. Most disturbing, they appear to be learning faster than we can adapt. In the Amazon, Colonel Martinez conducted her daily briefing in a command bunker that had once been a research station. The facility had been expanded with a network of tunnels and concealed entrances, creating an underground fortress invisible to orbital surveillance. Intelligence update, she announced to her assembled team leaders. Global resistance networks report similar success rates. African teams have secured vast portions of the Congo. Asian units control significant mountain regions. European cells have established strongholds in the Alps and Carpathians. Master Sergeant Jackson studied a tablet displaying enemy movement patterns. The aliens are adapting their tactics. Larger patrol groups, better coordination with orbital support, improved scanning equipment. Expected, Martinez replied. What matters is that we're adapting faster. What's the status of the new weapon prototypes? Sergeant Williams activated a secure connection to their technical team. We've successfully modified captured Zelkarian energy weapons for human use. The power systems are incompatible with our infrastructure, but we've developed portable power cells using their own technology. On the display, human soldiers demonstrated the modified weapons. Energy rifles originally designed for Zelkarian physiology had been rebuilt to accommodate human ergonomics and tactics. The result was a hybrid weapon system that combined alien firepower with human adaptability. More importantly, Williams continued, we've learned to manufacture ammunition for their weapons. Our industrial teams have reverse-engineered their energy cell technology. We can now sustain extended operations using their own equipment against them. Outstanding. What about armor? That's where things get interesting. Williams pulled up technical schematics showing Zelkarian-powered exoskeletons alongside human modifications. Their armor is designed for their physiology, digitigrade legs, elongated torso, additional limb joints. Direct copying isn't practical. But Martinez, since there was more. But we can build better. Human military development has always focused on versatility and reliability. Their equipment prioritizes raw power over adaptability. We're designing hybrid systems that combine their technology with our operational philosophy. The first field test of human hybrid technology came during a Zelkarian operation to clear the central Amazon. A full battalion of 500 soldiers, supported by aerial drones and orbital bombardment, entered the jungle with orders to establish a permanent forward base. They never reached their intended location. The attack began at dawn, but not in the way the aliens expected. Instead of the hit-and-run run tactics they had grown accustomed to, they faced a coordinated assault by human forces equipped with modified Zelkarian weapons. Energy fire erupted from the tree-line as human soldiers armed with captured and modified alien rifles engaged the advanced elements. The Zelkarians returned fire, expecting to quickly overwhelm the primitive resistance, but found themselves facing opponents who understood their weapons' capabilities and limitations. "Contact front!" shouted Captain Zexmar as his lead companies came under sustained energy fire. "Deploy in standard formation." His soldiers moved into their practiced assault formation, powered armor allowing them to advance through the undergrowth while laying down suppressive fire. But as they pressed forward, the human fire shifted and adapted, targeting weak points and exploiting gaps in their coordination. "Sir, these aren't kinetic weapons," his lieutenant reported. "They're using our own energy signatures." Before Zexmar could process this information, the forest floor erupted in a series of coordinated explosions. But these weren't the crude chemical explosives they expected. These were Zelkarian plasma charges, precisely placed and timed to channel the blast effects into devastating kill zones. The battalion's advance stalled as soldiers found themselves caught in overlapping fields of fire from weapons that could penetrate their armor. Worse, the human forces seemed to anticipate every tactical response, countering each attempted maneuver with prepared positions and coordinated fire. "Fall back to defensive positions," Zexmar ordered, but found his communications jammed by equipment that operated on Zelkarian frequencies. His soldiers were being isolated and eliminated by teams that moved with impossible coordination through terrain they knew better than their own scales. As his battalion crumbled around him, Zexmar realized a terrible truth. The humans weren't just adapting to Zelkarian technology, they were improving it. In orbit, Admiral Vexthal reviewed the battle reports with growing alarm. An entire battalion eliminated in 6 hours. Equipment losses exceeded combat casualties as human forces systematically captured and salvaged everything they could carry. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "we're detecting energy signature from the surface that match our own weapons. Impossible. Human technology cannot interface with our systems." "Sir, the signatures are definitely ours, but the firing patterns and tactical employment are unlike anything in our doctrine. They're using our weapons, but not in ways we designed them to be used." Vexthal studied the tactical displays showing the battle's progression. The human attack patterns were unlike anything in Zelkarian military experience. They combined the firepower advantages of advanced technology with tactical flexibility that no other species had demonstrated. "Analysis of human military doctrine," he commanded. The ship's computer accessed captured data from Earth communication networks. Human military development has emphasized adaptability and innovation over technological superiority. Their historical conflicts demonstrate consistent patterns of rapid tactical evolution and technological integration. Meaning, they excel at incorporating enemy capabilities into their own force structure while maintaining operational flexibility. Earth military forces have a documented history of successful asymmetric warfare against technologically superior opponents. For the first time since beginning the conquest, Admiral Vexthal felt a chill of uncertainty. The Zelkarian Empire had built its military doctrine around technological supremacy. They had never faced an enemy capable of matching their equipment while exceeding their tactical adaptability. "Sir," his intelligence officer approached with additional reports, "we're receiving similar updates from all theater commanders. Human resistance forces worldwide appear to have access to modified versions of our technology. They're not just capturing equipment, they're improving it." The holographic display showed global tactical situations. Red zones indicating strong human resistance had expanded dramatically, covering vast portions of every continent. Worse, green zones supposedly under Zelkarian control were being systematically infiltrated and contested. "Recommendations?" Vexthal asked his staff. "Orbital bombardment of all forested regions," suggested the tactical officer. "Eliminate their concealment and force them into open terrain where our advantages are decisive." "Sir," the intelligence officer interjected, "such action would violate Zelkarian military law regarding civilian populations and planetary resources." The Empire requires intact worlds for colonization and resource extraction. Vexthal's mandibles ground together in frustration. The laws that had made the Empire's expansion sustainable now constrained his ability to crush this unexpected resistance. He could not simply glass the planet from orbit. The Empire needed Earth's resources and strategic position. Increase ground force deployment, he decided. Deploy the second and third fleets. We will overwhelm them with numbers. But as the admiral gave his orders, he wondered privately whether more soldiers would simply provide the humans with additional equipment to capture and improve. #The Jungle War. Escalation. The arrival of the second and third fleets brought the total Zelkarian force to over 200,000 soldiers, the largest military deployment in the Empire's history for a single world conquest. Admiral Vexthal watched the massive armada take positions around Earth, confident that sheer numbers would finally crush the persistent human resistance. He was about to discover just how wrong he was. Colonel Martinez stood in the expanded command center of what had once been the Amazon Research Station. The facility now stretched for kilometers underground, connected to similar installations across South America through a network of tunnels that had taken decades to construct. What the aliens didn't know was that Earth's military forces had been preparing for asymmetric warfare long before first contact. Global status report. She requested from the holographic display showing resistance commanders worldwide. Colonel Yamamoto's face appeared from the Asian theater. Japanese and Vietnamese tunnel networks fully operational. We've linked mountain strongholds across the Himalayas and integrated with Mongolian mobile units. Current strength, 40,000 active fighters with full alien equipment. General Okafor materialized from the African Command. Congo Basin operations successful beyond projections. We've established coordination with Ethiopian Highland forces and Sahara Nomad units. The enemy cannot maintain supply lines across the desert regions. Strength, 60,000 fighters, increasing daily as captured equipment allows expansion. Major Volkov reported from the European sector. Russian Taiga and Scandinavian forest networks fully integrated. Alpine strongholds connected through improved tunnel systems. We've successfully coordinated with resistance cells in urban areas. Combined strength, 50,000 active, with significant militia support. Martinez nodded grimly. Total global strength approaching 200,000 trained fighters, plus militia and support personnel. We're matching their numbers, but with superior knowledge of terrain and sustainable supply lines. Colonel, interrupted Sergeant Williams, monitoring intelligence feeds. Enemy fleet deployment indicates massive escalation. Orbital reconnaissance shows troop buildup for major offensive operations. Expected. They're going to try to overwhelm us with numbers. Martinez studied the tactical displays. Time to show them why that won't work. The Zelkarian offensive began at dawn across multiple continents simultaneously. Massive formations of powered infantry supported by aerial units and orbital bombardment struck at known resistance strongholds. Admiral Vexthal commanded the operation personally, convinced that concentrated force would finally break human resistance. In the Amazon, 10,000 Zelkarian soldiers advanced in coordinated battle groups, their energy weapons cutting through vegetation as they pushed toward suspected command centers. Their formation was textbook perfect, with overlapping fields of fire and mutual support between units. They had advanced less than 5 kilometers when the jungle exploded around them. But this wasn't the scattered harassment they had learned to expect. This was coordinated warfare on a scale they hadn't imagined possible. Human forces emerged from concealed positions with military precision, armed not just with captured Zelkarian weapons, but with hybrid technology that exceeded original specifications. Contact in all directions, reported Captain Zexmar, now commanding 1,000-soldier formation after repeated promotions to replace lost officers. Multiple energy signatures. How do they have this much firepower? The answer became clear as the battle progressed. Human engineers had not just reverse-engineered Zelkarian technology, they had improved it. Energy weapons with enhanced power cells and improved cooling systems. Armor that combined alien protection with human mobility. Communication systems that operated on frequencies the aliens couldn't jam. Sir, They're using coordinated orbital tracking, his tactical officer reported. They know our positions before we move. Above the battlefield, captured Zelkarian reconnaissance drones flew in support of human operations, their sensors modified to provide real-time intelligence to ground forces. The humans had not just stolen alien technology, they had integrated it into a comprehensive command and control system. The forest battle raged for 18 hours. When it ended, 8,000 Zelkarian soldiers were dead or captured, their equipment salvaged for human use. The attacking force had been not just defeated, but systematically dismantled by an enemy that fought with devastating efficiency. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In the African theater, Zelkarian forces found themselves caught in desert ambushes by mobile human units armed, with captured hover vehicles modified for extended-range operations. Asian mountain strongholds revealed themselves to be interconnected fortress networks that could coordinate fire across hundreds of kilometers. But the most shocking development came from the European sector. Major Volkov's forces had captured not just weapons and armor, but entire Zelkarian communication networks. Human cryptographers had broken alien encryption protocols and gained access to fleet communication systems. For the first time since the invasion began, human forces had real-time intelligence on enemy movements and plans. Admiral Volkov broadcast on an open Zelkarian command frequency, his voice clearly reaching the orbiting fleet. "You have made a fundamental error in your assessment of humanity." Aboard his flagship, Admiral Vexthal stared at his communication console in shock. Human voices speaking in perfect Zelkarian, using their own secure networks. "You assumed that superior technology equals superior capability," the human continued. "But technology is only as effective as the intelligence that guides it. Your doctrine relies on overwhelming, less advanced opponents. You have no experience fighting enemies who adapt faster than you can respond. Impossible avec une méthode. Secure all communication networks. Change all encryption protocols." "Already done, Admiral," came another voice, this one identifying itself as Colonel Martinez. "We've been monitoring your communications for weeks. Your new encryption protocols were cracked 6 hours ago." The holographic display showed global tactical situations that sent chills through the Zelkarian command staff. Red zones indicating human control now covered vast portions of every continent. Worse, human forces were showing unprecedented coordination between theaters, sharing intelligence and resources with an efficiency that exceeded Zelkarian military doctrine. "You have deployed 200,000 soldiers against us," Martinez continued. "We have matched that number while maintaining complete operational security. Your forces operate from vulnerable orbital platforms and surface bases. Our command structure is distributed across thousands of concealed installations that your orbital bombardment cannot locate or destroy." "Sir," the intelligence officer whispered urgently, "they're right. Our ground forces are suffering 70% casualties while inflicting minimal losses on human forces. Equipment loss rates exceed replacement capacity by 5 to 1. But this is impossible." Vexthal's mandibles clicked in frustration. "They're a Type 0 civilization. How can they match a galactic empire?" "Because you underestimated what Type 0 means for humanity," came a new voice, General Okafor from the African Command. "Type 0 means we have spent our entire history fighting each other with increasingly sophisticated weapons and tactics. Every military innovation has been tested in real combat against opponents who fought back with equal determination. Your empire expanded by conquering species that never faced serious military pressure," added Colonel Yamamoto. "You developed your doctrine against opponents who surrendered after initial defeats. Humanity has no concept of surrender when defending our home." The communication channel crackled as human voices from around the globe joined the conversation. Resistance commanders from every continent, speaking in perfect Zelkarian while coordinating real-time operations against alien forces. "We have studied your tactics, reverse-engineered your technology, and integrated your capabilities into our force structure," Martinez summarized. "But, more importantly, we have done something your empire has never encountered. We have improved on what you built." To demonstrate their point, energy fire erupted from the surface of every continent simultaneously. But this wasn't random harassment. This was coordinated orbital interdiction fire. Human forces, using captured and modified Zelkarian weapons, began targeting orbiting ships with surface-based energy weapons. "Shields up," Vexthal commanded, but his tactical officer was already shaking his head. "Sir, they're using our own weapon frequencies and targeting protocols. They know exactly where our shield generators are located and how to overload them." The first Zelkarian ship died in a brilliant flash as concentrated human fire overwhelmed its defensive systems. Then a second, then a third. Across Earth's orbit, the massive alien fleet found itself under coordinated attack from the surface by weapons they had thought safely superior to human technology. "Admiral," K. Martinez's voice one final time, "you have two choices. Withdraw your forces and negotiate, or continue to feed them into a war you cannot win." As alarms blared throughout his flagship and damage reports flooded in from across the fleet, Admiral Vexthal faced a reality that no Zelkarian commander had ever confronted: defeat by a supposedly primitive species that had turned the Empire's own advantages against them. The humans had not just adapted to alien technology, they had evolved beyond it. Hashtag the Jungle War. Reversal Admiral Vexthal stood before the Zelkarian High Command via holographic link, his scaled hands trembling with barely controlled rage and fear. Behind him, damage control teams worked frantically to repair his flagship, while the reduced remnants of his fleet held deteriorating positions around Earth. "Admiral," spoke High Commander Velthane, her ancient voice carrying the authority of centuries, "explain how a Type 0 civilization has inflicted 60% casualties on 3 full battle fleets." "High Commander, the humans are not what our initial assessments indicated. They possess adaptive capabilities beyond any species we have previously encountered." Vexthal activated tactical displays showing the global situation. "They have not only captured our technology, but improved it beyond original specifications. Impossible. No primitive species possesses the scientific knowledge to enhance Imperial technology. With respect, High Commander, they do. Our intelligence analysis indicates that human technological development follows a different pattern than other species. They advance through conflict and competition rather than peaceful expansion. Their entire civilization is built around warfare optimization." The holographic images showed human forces in action across Earth's continents. Soldiers moving within human coordination through terrain that seemed to actively assist them. Weapons that fired faster and hit harder than Zelkarian originals. Armor that provided better protection while maintaining superior mobility. Their military doctrine, Vexthal continued, emphasizes adaptability over technological superiority. They assume opponents will match or exceed their capabilities, so they develop tactics that remain effective regardless of enemy technology level. "You are requesting additional forces?" asked another High Command member. "No, High Commander. Additional forces will only provide them with more equipment to capture and improve. They are learning faster than we can adapt." In the Amazon Command Center, Colonel Martinez monitored the intercepted Zelkarian communications with grim satisfaction. The alien leadership was finally beginning to understand the reality of their situation, but understanding alone wouldn't save them. "Global Commanders, status report," she requested. The worldwide resistance network had evolved far beyond its original structure. What began as scattered special forces teams had become a unified military organization with capabilities that exceeded many galactic civilizations. "Asian Theater reports complete control of mountain regions," announced Colonel Yamamoto. "We've captured 3 orbital shuttles and successfully reverse-engineered their propulsion systems. Our engineers estimate we'll have surface-to-orbit capability within weeks." African operations have secured the entire Congo Basin and established forward operating bases across the Sahara, General Okafor added. "Captured alien vehicles have been modified for extended desert operations. We're conducting successful raids against their North African supply bases. European forces have established a unified command structure across the continent," reported Major Volkov. "More importantly, we've captured enough communication equipment to monitor their entire fleet network in real time." Martinez nodded approvingly. "Weapons production status?" Sergeant Williams pulled up manufacturing reports. "Global production has exceeded all projections. We're now producing hybrid weapons systems faster than we can train personnel to use them. Captured alien manufacturing equipment has been modified to accept human raw materials. Power generation. Zalkarian energy systems have been integrated with terrestrial power grids. We have unlimited power for all operations, plus enough surplus to begin large-scale industrial projects. The transformation was staggering. In less than 3 months, human resistance forces had captured enough alien technology to bootstrap their civilization by centuries. But more than that, they had optimized that technology for human physiology and tactical doctrine. Time to take this war to the next level, Martinez decided. Initiate Operation Rising Storm. Aboard his damaged flagship, Admiral Vexthal received reports that defied everything he understood about military operations. Human forces weren't just defending anymore, they were attacking. "Sir, multiple energy signatures rising from the surface," reported his tactical officer, voice tight with disbelief. "They appear to be spacecraft." On the main display, crude but functional vessels rose from Earth's surface on pillars of captured Zalkarian propulsion technology. The ships were clearly human-built, combining alien components with innovative engineering that prioritized speed and firepower over elegant design. "How many?" Vexthal asked. "Initial count shows 47 vessels, sir. More launching from multiple sites across the planet." The human spacecraft were small compared to Zalkarian ships, but they moved with aggressive purpose. Instead of the stately maneuvers of Imperial vessels, they darted and weaved like predatory fish, their modified weapons systems tracking multiple targets simultaneously. "Incoming communication from lead human vessel," the communications officer reported. "Put it through." Colonel Martinez's face appeared on the main display, her expression calm and determined. Behind her, the command bridge of a spacecraft that shouldn't exist buzzed with human activity. "Admiral Vexthal," she began, "I wanted to thank you personally for providing us with the technology necessary to join the galactic community. This is impossible. Your civilization lacks the infrastructure for spacecraft construction." "You're thinking in Zalkarian terms," Martinez replied. "Your empire builds slowly and carefully, optimizing for long-term stability. Humans build fast and adapt quickly, optimizing for immediate effectiveness. We've been constructing these vessels for weeks using your own manufacturing equipment." The tactical display showed the true scope of human advancement. Not only had they built spacecraft, but they had integrated them into a comprehensive space-based military doctrine. The vessels moved in coordinated formations, supporting each other with overlapping fields of fire while maintaining enough independence to adapt to changing tactical situations. "Your vessels are inferior to Imperial designs," Vexthal stated, though with less confidence than he intended. "In some ways, yes," Martinez agreed. "But we built them specifically to fight you." Every design choice optimized for combat against Zalkarian technology. Where your ships prioritize multiple mission capability, ours focus solely on destroying yours. To demonstrate, the human fleet engaged the outer perimeter of Zalkarian vessels. The smaller human ships darted between the massive Imperial cruisers, their weapons targeting specific weaknesses that months of captured intelligence had revealed. Energy fire lanced out with surgical precision, striking shield generators, weapon systems, and propulsion units. "Sir, they know exactly where our vulnerable points are located," the tactical officer reported as alien ships began suffering critical damage. "They're targeting our vessels' weak points with perfect accuracy. Because we helped design them," came another voice over the communication channel. Martinez's image was joined by additional human faces, engineers, and scientists who had spent months studying captured Zalkarian technology. Dr. Chun, materials engineering specialist, one introduced herself. "We've analyzed the metallurgy of your hull, plating, and identified stress concentration points that weren't apparent to your designers." Professor Johnson, computer systems expert, added another. "Your control networks have security vulnerabilities that become critical weaknesses when exploited by someone who understands your software architecture." Captain Rodriguez, former aerospace engineer, concluded a third. "Your propulsion systems were never designed to handle asymmetric thrust loading from multiple attack vectors." The human fleet demonstrated each weakness in real-time combat. Zelkarian ships that had seemed invincible weeks earlier began suffering cascade failures as human weapons exploited flaws that the aliens never knew existed. Admiral, Martinez continued, your empire conquered 47 worlds by overwhelming less advanced species. But you never faced opponents who could study your weaknesses and adapt faster than you could respond. We have reinforcements en route, Vexthal declared, though his voice lacked conviction, which will capture and reverse engineer, just like we did with your current forces, Martinez replied calmly. Every ship you send us becomes material for building better human vessels. Every weapon becomes a template for improved human designs. The human commander leaned forward slightly, her expression becoming more intense. But here's what your high command needs to understand. We're not interested in conquest. We're defending our home. That makes us infinitely more motivated than any Imperial expansion force. Around Earth's orbit, the battle continued to rage. But it was becoming clear that the advanced Zelkarian fleet was losing to spacecraft that had been built in jungle clearings and mountain caves using captured technology and human ingenuity. Admiral, his intelligence officer reported quietly, we're receiving similar reports from our monitoring stations throughout this galactic region. Word of our difficulties here is spreading to other species. Vexthal felt a chill that had nothing to do with his ship's damaged environmental systems. If other species learned that the mighty Zelkarian Empire could be defeated by a supposedly primitive civilization, it would invite challenges to Imperial authority throughout the galaxy. Sir, Martinez's voice drew his attention back to the main display. I have a proposition for you. Hashtag the Jungle War. Victory Admiral Vexthal stared at the human commander's image, trying to process the impossible situation he found himself in. Around Earth's orbit, his once mighty fleet was being systematically dismantled by spacecraft that had been constructed from salvaged components in primitive conditions. The proud Zelkarian Empire, conqueror of 47 worlds, was being defeated by a species they had dismissed as barely sentient. What proposition? He asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Unconditional withdrawal, Martinez stated simply. Remove all your forces from Earth and its orbital space immediately. In return, we won't pursue your retreating vessels or broadcast details of your defeat to other galactic civilizations. Impossible. The High Command would never accept such terms from a primitive species. Admiral, Martinez's expression hardened. Look around you. Half your fleet is debris. Your ground forces have been eliminated or captured. Your technology is now serving in human hands against your own forces. What exactly would you be refusing to accept? On cue, the tactical display showed the global situation in devastating detail. Red zones, indicating human control, now covered 80% of Earth's surface. Zelkarian forces remained only in heavily fortified orbital platforms and a handful of isolated surface bases that were under constant siege. Sir, his tactical officer reported quietly. Incoming transmission from the High Command. High Commander Velthane's image materialized alongside Martinez's, her ancient features twisted with barely controlled rage. Admiral Vexthal, explain why our deep space monitors are detecting human spacecraft in orbit around Earth. High Commander, the situation has evolved beyond our initial parameters. Human adaptive capabilities exceed all previous assessments. Are you requesting permission to utilize planetary sterilization protocols? The question hung in space like a death sentence. Planetary sterilization would eliminate the human threat, but destroy Earth's colonization value entirely. It was the Empire's final option, used only when a conquest became more costly than beneficial. High Commander, Martinez interjected, her voice carrying across both communication channels. Before you consider that option, I suggest you review recent intelligence from your border regions. Velthane's mandibles clicked dangerously. Humans do not address the High Command directly. Perhaps not, Martinez replied calmly. But the species you conquered over the past century are watching this conflict very carefully. Word travels fast in the galaxy, and news of Earth's successful resistance is already spreading. The holographic display shifted to show intelligence reports from across Zelkarian space. On dozens of conquered worlds, previously suppressed populations were showing signs of renewed resistance activity. Species that had accepted imperial rule for generations were questioning Zelkarian military supremacy. The Kethmori rebellion in the Outer Spiral has tripled in size since news of Earth reached them. Martinez continued, reading from intelligence reports that should have been secure Zelkarian communications. The Veltaran underwater cities have stopped paying imperial taxes. Even your ally species are requesting renegotiated treaties. How do you have access to classified imperial intelligence? Velthane demanded. Because your security protocols weren't designed to handle opponents who reverse engineer faster than you can adapt, Martinez replied. We've been monitoring your communications networks for weeks. To demonstrate, human voices began broadcasting simultaneously across multiple Zelkarian command frequencies. Resistance fighters from every continent coordinating operations in perfect Zelkarian military terminology. The aliens' secure communication network had become humanity's tactical advantage. High Commander, Admiral Vexthal interjected, desperation creeping into his voice. If we employ planetary sterilization, the galaxy will interpret it as admission that the Empire cannot defeat a Type 0 civilization through conventional means. And if we withdraw, then we demonstrate that the Empire respects species capable of effective resistance. We maintain our reputation for military competence while avoiding the appearance of weakness that comes from destroying what we cannot conquer. The High Commander's expression revealed her understanding of the impossible position they faced. Destroying Earth would signal Imperial weakness. Continuing the invasion would result in more military defeats that would encourage rebellion throughout Zelkarian space. But withdrawing would establish a precedent that species could successfully resist Imperial conquest. There is a fourth option, Martinez said quietly, as if reading their thoughts. Explain. Alliance. The word hung in space like an alien concept. Humanity has no interest in galactic conquest. We're a young species focused on protecting our home and exploring our local region. But we're very good at war, and we learn fast. The implications were staggering. An alliance with humanity would provide the Empire with military advisors who had demonstrated superior adaptive capabilities. Human tactical doctrine could revitalize Imperial forces that had grown complacent through easy victories. In return, Martinez continued, humanity gains protection from other galactic threats and access to technologies that will accelerate our development by centuries. We become partners instead of enemies. The High Command does not negotiate with inferior species, Velthane stated automatically. High Commander, Vexthal interrupted. With respect, these humans have proven they are not inferior. They have defeated our finest military forces using our own technology against us. They represent exactly the kind of adaptive capability the Empire needs to maintain galactic stability. Around Earth's orbit, the battle had reached its inevitable conclusion. Human spacecraft, built in jungle workshops and mountain caves, had systematically destroyed or captured the majority of 3 Imperial battle fleets. The technological superiority that had made Zelkarian expansion possible was being turned against them by a species that refused to accept defeat. Admiral, came a report from his tactical officer. Human ground forces are requesting permission to board our remaining orbital installations. For what purpose? Technical assistance, sir. They're offering to help repair our damaged vessels using hybrid human Zelkarian technology. The audacity was breathtaking. The humans were offering to repair the ships they had just finished destroying, using improvements they had made to captured alien technology. It was the perfect demonstration of their approach to warfare. Devastating efficiency followed by pragmatic cooperation. High Commander, Martinez addressed Velthane directly. You have a choice. Continue fighting a war you cannot win against opponents who grow stronger with every battle, or accept humanity as an ally and benefit from our capabilities. And if we refuse, then we continue this conflict until your forces are eliminated and other species learn that the mighty Zelkarian Empire can be defeated by determined resistance. Your choice. High Commander Velthane studied the tactical displays showing the destruction of 3 battle fleets by primitive human spacecraft. Around the galaxy, previously conquered species watched and waited to see whether successful resistance against the Empire was possible. Admiral Vexthal, she said finally, begin negotiations for immediate ceasefire. Establish preliminary terms for alliance discussions. In the Amazon Command Center, Colonel Martinez allowed herself a small smile as Zelkarian officers throughout the fleet began broadcasting ceasefire orders. Around the globe, human forces received confirmation that the invasion was over. Global commanders, she announced, Operation Rising Storm successful. Enemy forces are standing down. Begin Phase 2 protocols. What's Phase 2? Asked Sergeant Williams. Integration, Martinez replied. We've proven we can fight them. Now we prove we can work with them. Humanity just joined the Galactic community, and we're going to make sure it's on our terms. 3 months later, the first joint human-Zelkarian technical exchange began in the rebuilt Amazon facility. Alien engineers worked alongside human technicians to develop hybrid technologies that combined Imperial sophistication with human adaptability. Former enemies collaborated to create weapons, spacecraft, and defensive systems that exceeded either species' individual capabilities. The jungle that had once hidden human resistance forces now concealed research facilities where two civilizations learned from each other. Admiral Vexthal, now serving as Imperial liaison to Earth, stood in the facility's observation deck watching humans and Zelkarians work together. The transformation still amazed him, from devastating enemies to innovative partners in less than a year. Remarkable, he commented to Colonel Martinez, who had become Earth's primary military representative. What's remarkable? Your species' capacity for adaptation. Not just technologically, but socially. 3 months ago, we were trying to kill each other. Today, my engineers are learning human combat doctrine, while yours master Imperial manufacturing techniques. Martinez nodded thoughtfully. That's what humans do, Admiral. We adapt, we overcome, and we make the best of whatever situation we find ourselves in. Whether it's fighting for survival in jungle warfare or building alliances with former enemies. The High Command is impressed. Reports of human capabilities are spreading throughout the Empire. Several other species are requesting similar alliance arrangements. Good. The galaxy's a dangerous place. Everyone benefits when civilizations work together instead of fighting. Through the facility's reinforced windows, they could see the jungle where the war had begun. The dense canopy that had hidden human resistance forces now concealed collaborative research installations where the future of galactic warfare was being written. The Zelkarian Empire had come to Earth expecting easy conquest of a primitive world. Instead, they found partners who would revolutionize Imperial military doctrine and establish humanity as a major galactic power. In the end, the aliens had been right about one thing. The jungles of Earth were indeed dangerous, but not in the way they had expected.